All right, goal for to get started here, we're now going to move into writing equations in point slope form. You will need your textbook for this, as the work for our work on this is out of chapter 4 lesson 5, and it starts on page 223. The target for you is, after you get done watching this video and seeing the examples and get done doing your work, is you will be able to substitute a coordinate and a slope into the point slope formula correctly. The point slope formula is a very handy little formula. It allows us to change to two other types of equations very quickly. And all I'm going to have you practice right now is just substituting into this formula, learning how to read that formula, learning where to put the numbers into it. So let's take a look at the first example I have for you. The first thing is I want to show you the point slope formula. Write this formula down on your notebook paper. So if you don't have any paper out yet, pause the video, get it out, and I want you to write down the formula: y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That is the point slope formula. The point slope formula is right here. So you want to make sure, I want you to write that down in your paper. So pause the video and write that down. Okay, now that you've written down that formula, you may want to, as you do your work, do what I do. I'm going to copy that formula down, and then I'm going to practice writing underneath the formula to help me substitute in correctly. So the first example I have for you is, we want to write a point slope form of an equation for the line that passes through 1, 4 and has a slope of 9. So what they're telling you is, if you have a graph like so, and the point 1, 4, so 1, 4, which would be estimating in about here, and has a line that runs with a slope of 9. So it's really a steep line running through there. It'll be straight, of course. I'm drawing this freehand, so it won't be, but it's a normal straight line. They want you to write a point slope form. We were writing equations in slope intercept form before for lines like this. Now we're going to write it into what we call point slope form. So it's, as you'll see here, you'll be able to pick this up pretty quickly. The first thing that I do when I'm writing a problem like this, and when I learned how to do this, I was copying down the formula. So I would copy the formula down, and that acts as a guide for me and tells me where I need to put numbers. So I've been given a coordinate and I've been given a slope. What I do then is I start, and I remember with my coordinates, x is here, and this is y. So they're written x comma y, and m is 9. Remember, m is the symbol for the variable that we use for slope. So I'm going to substitute in. Looking at the formula, I have a y1 and an x1. This little 1 is called a subscript. That 1 is actually telling you this is where you put the value for y in your coordinate. This is the value from x from the coordinate. And m, of course, you know to be slope, and you're going to put it there. So what I do then is I start here, and I have a plain y, and I have a y1. The y1 is the number 4, so I'm going to write the number 4 directly underneath here. I have an m, I know to be 9, so I'm going to put a 9 under that. And I have plain x, which is 1, so I'm going to put the 1 there. So now what I do then is, at this point, I just copy the rest of the formula. Y minus 4 equals 9 parentheses times x minus 1. And that's it. That's all it is. I substitute in. This is how you substitute into the point slope formula. Copy your variables you copy the variables into the positions where you see x1, y1, and m. And that's all you do. Now, I'm going to show you another example, because notice in this first example, all the numbers here are positive. Let's take a look at what happens when numbers are negative. I want you to be able to write in both positive and negative numbers. As you'll see here, there's a little change in your final answer. So again, I'm going to write down the point slope formula, and that's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right. Now, again, I always write down, when I'm learning this formula, write down what the formula is, and then you can practice writing things in. X is here, comma y. So as I go across my formula, what you'll find is you're going to be able to write things in. Okay. So I have y. I won't be writing anything there. I will have a minus. I need to put in y1. So that means put the y value of negative 10 there. So I have a negative 10. Notice I put that in parentheses. Equals m is negative 4. This one I can just write all plain by itself because it's outside of a parenthesis sitting next to it. Parenthesis x minus, and what's x1? It's negative 5. And again, I'm going to put that in parentheses. And this is to help you see what happens when you substitute in negative numbers into this formula. All right, looking at the formula here, after I've substituted in, I have y minus negative 10 minus a negative. Well, I don't want minus a negative. I know that I need to do same, change, change. So that's going to change my answer then to just y plus 10 equals negative 4. The slope doesn't change at all. It's just waiting there for us to multiply it. And I'll copy the x. Now I have minus negative 5. And again, same, change, change. So I have x plus 5. So then what happens now on the inside of these parentheses? What happens when I substitute in a negative number? Notice the answer now in there, I've written a plus 10 and a plus 5. When I substituted positive numbers, it stayed a minus. However, because when I'm subtracting a negative, that's like adding, I will write that down as plus 10. As you get used to this, you can actually just take and substitute in the negative number, and if you want, you can write it as plus 5 right away. And when you put in minus 10, write it as plus 10. That is a pattern you want to try to find with the point slope form. Okay, in your assignment, there's going to be a question, and it's going to say, write the point slope form in an equation that has that is a horizontal line. Just to remind you, what is the slope of a horizontal line? A horizontal line goes like this. And if that was your heart rate, what would the number be with it? Yes, correct. That would be 0. So you have to remember that when you're dealing with, there's going to be a couple questions about asking you about a horizontal line. Remember, the slope of a horizontal line is 0. All right, time to write down what I want you to do. Page 223, numbers 1, 2, and 3, 12 through 19, and 50. Please correct it using my textbook. That's where the answers are. The answers are written in pink, and then you can turn it in. Let me know when you're done, and then you can move on to the next step.